Does the former president's performance today and over the course of the campaign, in comments like that, is that the new version of the former president, or is that kind of comment going to hurt him with the suburban women and suburban voters he so very much needs, not only in Pennsylvania, but across the battleground states?
I think the burden here is on the vice president to have that tough press conference, to have that tough interview. When she addressed today that she wants to schedule an interview, she referenced getting an interview done by the end of the month. Mike, it's the beginning of the month right now.
Right.
We're talking about here 3 weeks. So it's a burden on somebody who wants to be the president of the United States to get asked those tough questions and to have an answer. And there are a lot of questions. They keep getting discussed about us here in the media, at barbershops, on the streets, across our country. There's no better source to those issues to try to find out where Vice President Harris stands than for her to answer herself. The last time she was on camera talking about her position on whether or not she supports banning fracking, she said on camera she supports banning fracking. Now, on a Friday night at 6 o'clock, you have someone on your team saying, oh, by the way, that position's changed. Well, it's stuff like that I think the average American wants to hear directly from the candidate.
Okay, in the course of the last week, it's been 2.5 weeks since President Biden dropped out of the race. Kamala Harris, the vice president, has seen a surge in the polls. I mean, I think that's an objective fact. Do you think the former president, President Trump, and his campaign have underestimated her?
Well, let's be clear. The way the polling was going between Trump versus Biden was a disaster for the Democratic Party, for down-ballot races. All sorts of different Democratic constituencies were getting eroded. That was a reason cited for why they were trying to replace President Biden. What we see right now is a race. I mean, you and I are having this conversation here 89 days away from the last day of voting on November 5th. Ballots are going to start going out in just over a month. And when you look at the battleground states, the race is even closer. So we have a race. And I think that as of now, if the election was today, both sides would be going into the election with enough available support to win. It's about getting your people out to vote. But we still have 89 days to go and hopefully multiple debates to go.
Congressman, let me ask you just point blank. Do you think Kamala Harris is smart enough to conduct a press conference?
Well, she has a lot of trouble. She has had a lot of trouble off of the teleprompter. It is not a coincidence or an accident that she hasn't had a press conference. It is not a coincidence or an accident or a scheduling problem why she hasn't sat down yet for that tough press conference, the tough interview. So it's really up to her to do, to provide the American public with that level of transparency and assurance that she stands for what she claims to when people are out there saying, interpreting where she is on issues. Listen, if you right now go to Kamala Harris's website, there is no position on any issue. She has no issues page. So that leaves the rest of us speculating based off past record, past statements. It's up to her to do it, and you can't do it all from a teleprompter.
Okay, the former president in his press conference said today, he said this after President Biden warned in an interview yesterday that President Biden is not confident there would be a peaceful transfer of power if President Trump were to lose this election on November 5th.
Of course there'll be a peaceful transfer, and there was last time, and there'll be a peaceful transfer. I just hope we're going to have honest elections, that's all.
January 6th, he said it was a peaceful transfer of power. Do you agree? You were a member of Congress at that time, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey, listen, I've been outspoken then. I'm outspoken now. I don't want to ever see anyone at any point, whether it's a January 6th or any other day of the year, any year, breaking into the Capitol, breaking down windows, looting, harming other people. Spoke out against it then, and I always will. I will say that, if Jamie Raskin, as an example, who is the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, and I have it on the top of my social media feed, video his words. He is calling for, regardless of what happens on November 5th, no matter what the margin is, and even if we all universally agree it's free and fair election, he's calling on congressional Democrats not to certify it and to prepare for civil war. That is not the rhetoric we need today.
Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.